guy running with Latin. The guy run, my friend, but they're gonna catch him. You see that, my friend? They're gonna go get him. They're gonna go get him, my friend. Look.
What's up, fam? It's your boy
Oh,
Demuir here,
shit.
purveyor of all sounds underground. Thank you for joining me on this YouTube Tuesday, where today we will be going over our monthly Q&A. These are just based on random questions that come in from people in the community, our group of purveyors, as well as others who interact with me on my other social media networks such as Instagram and Twitter. So we've compiled a set of commonly asked questions, and I'm going to cover the answers here. But before we jump into things, I need that SLC from you. Hit us up with a subscribe, like, and comment, and as well, hit the notifications bell to stay in tune with new videos we have coming for you. Peace.
How do you see the financial aspect of the industry, and what is your opinion on the accessibility of people being able to rip music from platforms such as YouTube for free?
Great question. I think this question was from Dre, who's also a previous artist on my Makita Sky label. So, awesome question. My thoughts on the financial aspects of music today in the dance music industry specifically. Bottom line is, I always tell people you will never make a shit ton of money off of the actual songs. Where the money is at is in getting booked for festivals, merchandise, and any other sub-products you can tail off from that. But the other thing I will say that is extremely important to you as an artist, which I'm very surprised in this day and age, a lot of new artists do not know this or even have this set up, it is called publishing. So publishing needs to be looked at as the real estate of music, of things that will always pay you passively. And if you know about passive income, that is income that is just made continuously without direct or physical effort. It's kind of like investments in stocks. It'll always pay you to some degree. And I'm amazed that a lot of newer artists do not have this in place. So between publishing and getting booked for events, that's where the real money is. Do not forecast your budget on expecting payment from the actual music streams, etc. I mean, streaming does generate revenue, but most of that revenue is more valued in publishing. So my ideas on ripping music. Well, in the context of financials, it's a moot point because streaming is really where it's at, and the more streams you get, you know, that touches on your publishing, which I already explained. And ripping music is not a big deal. A lot of people who are invested in making sure their sounds are great generally do not rip music off of YouTube. And the other thing to remember is trying to play that music out, because the sound is already compressed. It's fairly obvious in some cases. So it's kind of a moot point against the other things I've mentioned.
When you had your 9 to 5, how did you schedule your time for production?
What I did when I was working a full-time job, and I mentioned this in other videos too, I would work the job, so call it, you know, from 7 to 6 p.m. in the evening, an hour for dinner and working out, catching up on other emails, and then straight from 8 to midnight or sometimes 3 a.m., I would just kill it on the production and DJing stuff. There's just no way around it. You have to put the work in, and that is the best way to go about it when you're transitioning out of a 9 to 5.
How important is time management when it comes to making your tracks? Some people spend hours on making the drum set right before they start on the basic groove.
Time management is extremely important when it comes to production. I believe having templates set up and a nice workflow that allows you to create rather than overthinking things. So what has been described in the question in terms of tweaking drums for hours upon hours and days to find that perfect sound before you get onto anything, really, in my opinion, is a waste of time. I could get to the same place in less than 20 minutes and even have better sounding sounds just because it just works well in my workflow. So I think you need to find a process that allows you to create seamlessly, and often those are the best creations when it comes to production management.
When you entered the house industry, was there any unique barriers for a producer coming from Canada?
I don't think there was any unique barriers coming from Canada, and for that matter, I think because of the internet, it's really made the world a much smaller place. I'd say back in the day when I was producing music on vinyl, it was actually a bit harder to get music out. You had to find the right distributors. There was only like 4 major ones in North America and a couple of major ones in Europe, and it was hard to get those contacts and get those records out. Whereas today, it doesn't really matter where you're from. You can buy a laptop tomorrow, get Ableton, throw some sounds on there, slap some music together, and post it for free on SoundCloud, and you're in the music business, so to speak. So where you're from really doesn't matter.
Alec told me you used to make hip-hop tracks. What made you go to the house route?
Yeah, it's true. I got my start making hip-hop beats, and I'm still making hip-hop beats. At the time I was making it, it was in the 90s, and this was the era of Puff Daddy and that what I call glossy, the first remnants of commercial rap music coming to the forefront. And it was just music I wasn't interested in making at the time. I was more interested in making the boom bap type of hip hop beats like Pete Rock, Tribe Called Quest, Dilla, De La Soul, and a whole slew of others like Gangstar and Premier and Main Source. And that was just the music that spoke to me. But at the same time, I was making house music, and it just so happened the house music piece took off much earlier than that. So here I am.
How has digging through crates helped your production outside of sampling?
I think we did a video on this, right? What? Yeah, we did a video on sampling, and it touches on the art of digging for records. I find the art of digging for records so educational for me as a musician and producer, because you get to know the names on these different types of records, you get to know history about the label, and then it just takes you down different rabbit holes depending on the type of music you gravitate towards and the artists and musicians you gravitate towards it. And it just teaches you a lot about their journey and come up and how they did certain things. And with the power of the internet and YouTube, you can look these individuals up and see what they've done in the past and learn from those things. So that aspect of digging for records is hugely educational.
All right, this question was asked by a comment on YouTube. He said, I have a question. So after your 3-week grace period...
I think this was the demo question.
Yeah.
So after
3 weeks, a grace period, you give a label.
Mm-hmm.
They don't sign your song. Do you go to another label, or do you go back to the drawing board with the song? And how many songs do you usually send at once?
Got it. So, great question. Certain labels do take longer than others, and my maximum is 3 weeks, and then I keep it moving. So what I do is I reevaluate the songs to say, am I still in love with this music? Am I feeling it? Am I missing something? I'd ask friends for feedback, and then I would just port the song over to another label for submission. Provided that label sound aligns with the songs in question. So that's the first piece. Let's say I don't hear from the other labels I've sent it to. I'll just hold on to the music and then either put it out on my label at Purveyor Underground at a later date, or resubmit to different labels later on. Because sometimes, I don't want to sound egotistical here, but it happens, and it's happened to me. Case in point, an example with, what was the track? Rawness Beat 3 on Hot Creations. That is a track I submitted originally to Rawthentic Music, my homies Nathan Barato and Carlo Leo. They turned the track down, and then I packaged it and submitted it to Hot Creations. And Hot Creations, Jamie Jones specifically wrote me back and said, nope, not feeling it. Only to advance a year and a half later, and he says, yes, I'm feeling the track, it's the right time now. So I don't even know if Jamie knows that, but it's kind of a funny story I've told a couple of times now. But that is my process when it comes to, you know, not hearing back from labels and what next steps should be. And there you have it. Thanks for joining me on this YouTube Tuesday for our monthly Q&A session. If there are questions that I have missed, don't hesitate to comment and ask them in our either the comment section or in our community board as well. Much love and thanks. Peace. You're a waste man, guy. Why are you so difficult, man?
Yeah, eh?